Grabe, Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero ginulat, tinanggal na sa pwesto. Nagulat sa Senado na pahiya, pinalit na si Sotto. Ayon sa nakalap nating impormasyon, mismo si Senator Zubiri nagsalita na traidor daw si Escudero. Alisin na daw dapat si Cheese sa Botohan, wala na daw dapat siya sa boto. Grabe si Senate President Francis Cheese Escudero, tinanggal na sa pwesto. Nagulat sa Senado na pahiya, pinalit na si Sotto. Tara panoorin natin.
Senators are saying that SP Cheese has more than 13 senators supporting him para sa Senate presidency. Your comment, sir, do you get the same information at do you think may chance pa ito mabago before the opening ng session sa July 28?
Eh di wow. Congratulations. Pagka ganun. Ako naman, we're not actively campaigning for leadership position. No? Ako, I'm not actively campaigning. Of course, I'm supporting Senator Tito Sotto. And I've worked with him. I was his majority floor leader for 4.5 years. I was a loyal majority floor leader to him, I would think. No? Up to this day, ang akin lang kasi, let me speak about Senator Sotto. So, ang nagugustuhan ko kay Senator Sotto, naniniwala siya sa consensus building, katulad ng ginawa ko for my 2 years as Senate President. Nagko-caucus po tayo. Hindi po siya diktador na kung saan sasabihin niya, itong gagawin natin. Kung ayaw nyo, di pagdebatihan natin sa plenaryo. Hindi, ang style po ni Senator Sotto, pasok muna tayo sa loob, mag-debate muna tayo doon, so that we don't show very divisive Senate, then we come up with a consensus. And those who do not agree with the consensus can do the vote. No, there will be a vote, there will be an action, a motion on the floor. And yan ang kagustuhan ko sa kanya. So there's always consensus, there's always a caucus. Para at least alam natin yung direksyon ng Senado ng linggong yan or for any issue, no? Very important issues that crop up under the Senate floor. So, with that said, mas gusto ko po ang leadership style ni Senator Tito Sotto. And I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot also from Senator Ed Angara, who was my boss before when I entered in 2007. He mentored me. He was also a former Senate President. Diba? So, yan ang turo nila sa akin. Nung kasama ko yung mga statesmen at that time, Senator Joker Arroyo, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, Senator Juan Ponce Enrile, of course, Senator Frank Drilon. Pag nakikita ko yung leadership style nila, napakaganda eh. I mean, it's discussion-based and also consensus-based, but at the same time, there's no act to suppress your ideas. No, you can bring out your ideas, but at every turn, at every corner of the decision-making process, the integrity of the Senate is always protected. The name of the Senate is always protected as an institution. Yan ang maganda. Hindi pwedeng, bahala na. Basta gagawin natin to. Bahala na, magalit yung taong bayan sa atin. Hindi pwede.
But some of your colleagues are saying na mas maganda daw yung open discussion, mas transparent. Nakikita doon ng public paano pinagtatalunan yung...
That's fine. They can do open discussions. Sabi na ibang colleagues ko, mas maganda, doon kami mag-away-away sa floor. Tingnan nila na yun. 4 kaming veterano dyan. Sige nga, makipag-debate kami sa kanila. Kids, gloves off with me. I'm no longer interested in position. I'm no longer interested in prestige. I'm no longer interested in power. I am only interested in the image of the Senate and how we can leave the Senate behind as a still trusted institution of this country. And to be able to do that, we have to show transparency. Diba? We have to show transparency. We have to show, for example, sa budget, we now have to show transparency. I'm glad nandyan si Senator Ping Lacson. Ayan ang unang sususihin niya, isa-isa. Talagang makikita natin na yun. Diba? Sabi nila, mawawalan ka ng committee. Bahala na, wala na akong committee. I've been in public service for almost 25 years now. I've been in the minority when I started my first term in Congress as a spice boy. Ako pala yung spice boy, ha? Iba tinuturing nila yung spice boy, bright boy yun, ha? Hindi spice boy yan. Ako lang yung spice boy sa Senado na lumaban, with due respect to some of my colleagues na natamaan nun, na lumaban sa makapangyarihan nung araw na yun to get the 77 signatures for an impeachment of then President Joseph Ejercito Estrada. I've been a member of the majority. I've also been a majority leader for 3 terms, and I've also become the Senate President. So, for me, committee, okay na yun. Sa inyo na yung mga committees. Wala ako dyan. Ang tinitignan ko na lang na yun, ang integridad ng Senado bilang institusyon. And let me say this, ang sakit ng aking dibdib nung isang araw na pakinggan ko under a news program in the afternoon on my way home. Pinag-uusapan nila itong issue ng impeachment. Sikat na announcer po ito sa hapon. Hindi ko lang babanggitin ko anong station.
Blind item.
Ang sabi niya, hindi na lang kasi, ang sabi kasi niya, kung ayaw ng mga senador, di mas mabuti pang buwagin na yan, Senado. So I said, God damn it, that's exactly, that is exactly what we don't want to hear bilang senador, na walang saysay ang Senado. Na wala na tayong saysay. Bakit pa? Mas magulo pa nga kayo daw. Sabi, sa simbahan kapon, ano bang nangyari sa inyo? Mas magulo pa kayo sa house. Yan ang dating natin dito na yun. So, I've never heard that in my almost 25 years in public service. You know, for every legislator, ang pangarap nila maging senador. Parang judge yan eh. Parang judge, gusto mo maging Supreme Court.
Associate Justice.
Abogado ka, gusto mo maging Associate Justice of the Supreme Court. Yan ang gusto nila. Dahil nakikita nila yung integridad ng Supreme Court. This is the policy-making body, the conscience of the nation, di ba? So, the Senate has always been, as I've said, the last bastion of our country, last bastion of democracy for our country. So, parang pag wala na silang pag-asa sa executive, wala na rin silang pag-asa dito sa lower house, akyat tayo sa Senado kasi papakinggan tayo ng senador because we are a mandate of national scope, national in scope, di ba? It's not only local, but it's national in scope. Kaya pag sinasabi na lang buwagin na yung Senado, wala nang saysay yung Senado, napakasakit para sa akin because in my 2 years as Senate President, yan ang inalagaan ko. Kaya inaway ko nga yung People's Initiative. Katakot-takot ang black propaganda sa akin. Di na ako nakatulog. Pag-check up ko, yung aking blood works, pula lahat. Pula lahat. Talagang magna cum laude ako pagdating sa mga resulta ng aking blood test. Dahil nga sa dinidibdib ko nga yung pangyayaring iyon. And of course, we all know, kung natuloy po yung People's Initiative na yan, that fake People's Initiative, then naging inutil ang Senado at baka wala ng Senado na yan. Who would have been a unicameral Congress or a parliamentary system ng namumuno, iilan lamang mga makapangyarihan. Kaya, at that time, when we defeated the fake initiative, People's Initiative, nagpa-SWS at Pulse Asia kami, the Senate was one of its highest ratings. Almost 78% approval rating ng Senate. And then, even my approval rating at the time, which is normally middle ground lang, mataas sa over 60+% yung aking approval rating at that time. Net satisfaction rating. So, dahil tuwan-tuwa yung tao, na pinaglaban natin yung institusyon as the last bastion of democracy. Now, I don't know what's going on. No, I really don't know what's going on. So if you ask me, and let me repeat what I said, I'm not satisfied with the leadership of the Senate, with due respect to the Senate President. Maybe there could be improvements to be made to how we're handling the Senate. Right? It's not a matter of position. It's not a matter of committee. Naawa nga ako. RG.
Okay, RG.
I don't know if you've been asked before, ba't kayo bumoto dun sa 18 if you feel that...
Because remanding is just trying to get an answer from them on the issue on constitutionality. You have to remember that I came out on the floor and I said that as far as I'm concerned, hanggang 19 Congress lang ito. Hindi lalabas to ng 20th Congress. Kailangan gawin ulit. That was my position. Now,
Kasi kailangan gawin ulit, kailangan mag-impeach sila ulit sa House.
yeah, because just like legislation, just like committee resolutions and committee reports, At the end of the Congress, tapos na yan. That's my personal position. That's not my legal position. That's my personal position. Whether that is right or not, it's like Tolentino, Senator Tolentino, the majority floor leader, that was his position. So,
Your personal position, kung magkakabotohan, yan ang boto mo.
no, but I'm also in favor of following the process.
Of the impeachment.
Do you understand? I would not have dismissed it outright. Alam mo yung remanding na yan, sa totoo lang, ang balita sa akin, hindi naman remanding ang pinag-usapan dyan, dismissal yun eh. Kaya nag-away nga si Sen Joel at si Sen Robin. Dahil nabibinig ko si Sen Robin, nabibinig ko napakinggan ko. Hindi, wala sa usapan yan eh. Diba? So, wala sa usapan. So, ibig sabihin, siguro may pinag-usapan sila. Alam nyo naman, ako, tsaka si Senator Lauren, tsaka si Senator Binay, kami po ay grupong slap soil. Ano yung slap soil? Diba? Hampas lupa. At pagkatapos nga naging na kami, dead hungry. Diba? Patay gutom. Kaya out of the loop kami. So,
Dapat na-dismiss na doon.
Yun ang usapan.
well, I don't know. That was the chismis. Then, of course, and that's why there was a tension there because the group of Senator Bato really was pushing for dismissal. Now, if you ask me, as I mentioned earlier, as a member of then the Spice Boys in the 11th Congress, we were the ones who gathered the signatures of the impeachment of then President Estrada. We gave it then we were able to convince then Speaker of the House, Manuel Villar, to read it during the prayer. Kasi alam namin, magkakagulo because they still had the majority of members that were against the impeachment of the former president. So, nangyari dun, bakbakan, di ba, dinala sa Senado. What did the Senate do? The Senate could have dismissed it at that time and say that was not the proper procedure because there was no motion made on the floor. You read it as a prayer. But did the Senate dismiss it? No, they did not. They heard it. My point is, it's not about my personal opinion if she is guilty or not, the Vice President. Kasi ako, alam mo naman, taga Mindanao ako. Yung tatay ko hindi pumirma sa impeachment as former congressman. And we became heroes for it in Bukidnon. Talagang sa Bukidnon, 99% ng tao dun pro-Sara. So ang punto ko it's not about my personal anymore. It's not about my personal opinion or my personal vote on the matter or my personal feeling. No, if she's guilty or not. It is the procedure that must be followed. There is precedence. We've had in this Constitution, if I'm not mistaken, since 1987, only two successful impeachments. The third kasi, nag-resign siya. Nag-resign si Merceditas Gutierrez. On these two, it was acted upon by the Senate. So, I'm sorry, wala naman nakalagay sa Constitution, nakalagay din forthwith, di ba? Hindi naman nakalagay doon forthwith unless dismissed by the Senate before actual trial. Wala doon sa Constitution. So I don't know. I'm not a lawyer, as you all know, but in my lengthy member as a legislator who has seen both of these impeachment exercises, I think we have to follow through. And then we do a vote. Huwag na kayo matakot. Kung pro-Sara kayo, di bumoto kayo. Against the impeachment, it's a political exercise. But the process has to proceed forward. That's to move forward. So now, that's my position. Kaya, I want to put that on record. Whether I'm pro-Sara or not, I cannot, I have to listen to the evidence that will be presented by them. Of course, I have some biases. I think that it is a witch hunt because they want to remove her from public service para yung iba makaupo at yung iba ay mawawalan ng kandidato na kalaban pagdating sa halalan ng 2028. But I will set that aside. I'll set my bias aside because we have to follow the process. Yan ang proseso ng konstitusyon. It cannot be changed. If we violate that, then we violate our oath of office when we say that we will defend and protect the Constitution of the Republic of the Philippines. So, definitely, we have to do what is right here.
Sir, do you proceeding with the trial, you mean trial, formal trial?
Yes, no, proceed not. Well, at least, let's invite the prosecutors. Tell them, ano ba yung ebidensya ng... Alam mo sa simbahan, Sunday kasi kahapon, sa simbahan na yun lang ako nakakita ng mga 4 na pamilyang lumapit sa akin. Ano bang tinatago ninyo? Ano bang ginagawa ninyo dyan sa Senado? Nasisira yung integridad, nasisira ang pangalan ng ating Senado dahil sa wala tayong ginagawa. With due respect, no, to my colleagues on both sides. Ang akin dyan, let's do what we are supposed to be doing under the Constitution. That's our constitutional mandate. And then we make a decision. Panindigan nyo yung decision nyo. Either to impeach or not to impeach, to acquit. So, yan na lang ang position ko dyan.
RG, meron ka pa ba? Okay na. Okay, before Dindo, Camille, Mean, and Daniel. Sir, going back dun sa Senate leadership, mag-e-effort ka pa ba para makakuha ng support for Tito Sotto or tanggap nyo na po na kayong posibleng maging minority pag nag-open ang 20th Congress?
I have a lot of privileged information. Yung mga kumakausap na sa akin na ganito, hindi magandang pakinggan. Kaya hindi ko na lang babanggitin. What are the reasons why they don't want Tito Sen? Why they don't want Ping Lacson? Masyadong stricto, masyadong kaya mahirap ng magsalita kasi ayaw ko naman maipit yung mga nagkwento sa akin ito. It's more of accommodation. I think many of them were given the best committees that the Senate can be offered. Obviously, our selling point with our group is to be able to repair the image of the Senate, and therefore we want to make it more transparent, especially dealing with the budget. We want to give the committees to those who are rightfully deserving because of their qualifications. Maybe it's not saleable. It's not saleable to the members of this new 20th Congress. Tanggap namin. Ako gusto ko, I started my career as a minority member. I will end my career as a member of the minority. Okay sa akin yun.
And then yung group nyo, tinatawag na conscience blacks?
Well, sabi ni Senator Ping, tinatawag yung conscience block. I call it veterans block. Kasi, to be honest, we don't have naman the monopoly of conscience. Diba? I have members like Congressman Marcoleta or Senator Marcoleta, may conscience din naman yun. So ayoko naman, di ba? Ayoko naman sabihin na kami meron sila, wala. Parang Spice Boys yan di ba? Yung kalaban namin nun, Bright Boys. Sabi namin, di naman kami nagpapanggap na bright. Spicy lang. Manghang lang. So ako, I'd rather be known as a veterans block. And because we've seen it all, and we've seen how the Senate at once upon a time was its, of course, peak performance in terms of trust rating with all our kababayans. Sana we can bring it back to that level.
Okay, Dindo. Dindo muna.
Alam mo, naawa nga ako kay Senator Risa. Naawa talaga ako sa kanya. Alam mo, kampanya para sa kanya mga kandidato. Tapos sabi niya, gagawa siya ng sarili niyang bloke, na independent block. Ngayon, mag-isa na lang siya.
Nasa
Kaya, I heard na mag-isa na lang siya. I cannot confirm nor deny this. But,
willing yung i-adapt, sir?
of course, she's most welcome to join us. Although we have a divergent, I'd say, position on some issues. Kasi of course she's more on the left side. We're more on the conservative side. Many of you know I'm a conservative politician. So, but when it comes to transparency, sama-sama kami, di ba? When it comes to abuse of authority, dapat sama-sama kami na tumayo. We welcome her to join us. We'll adopt her even if she doesn't want to be adopted.
So 5 ang minority?
Well, no, I don't want to answer for her. Ang sa 4 lang kami, handa na po kami sa pagiging minority.
Okay, Dindo.
Sir, nabanggitin yung leadership style. Kay SP Cheese ba, hindi ka satisfied, especially sa pag-handle ng impeachment case? Hindi ka ba siya believe sa style ng leadership
Hindi
niya?
lang yan marami pang issues Ako, katulad niyan, yung sa budget, para kay pa ako nag-vice chair Di ba? Tinanong nila ako kung gusto ako mag-vice chair nung sa budget noong 2025. So, I said, okay, I'll volunteer kasi para naman, wala naman akong committee. Di ba? May committee ako, Economic Affairs. Wala naman akong ginagawa. Alam niyo naman, gusto ko magtrabaho. So, hinandle ko yung sa DOST, Department of Science and Technology. Tuntua ako, nabigyan ko sila ng 1 billion additional budget, 1.4 billion, 1.3 billion. Pati PSI, Philippine Science High School, campus na bago, ang ganda, nalagay na namin sa budget. Pagdating sa BICAM, tinanggal lahat. Nabawasan pa. Yang iya ako, kaya di ba nakita mo yung speech ko sa floor, dun sa picture taking sa BICAM, di ko nga piniman natin. I walked out of the BICAM. I was also upset on the handling of the budget. Apparently, I'm not the only one. Across the board, all the amendments given to all the departments, tinanggal, nilampsam, kung anong ginamit dun sa pera na yan, hindi ko na alam. Diba? So, now, we get a budget that education is only number 2 in priority, which is it's a constitutional violation, by the way, which is still being heard in the halls of the Supreme Court. So, if you ask me, that budget was the worst budget I've ever seen in my 25 years of public service. I mean, we all, as leaders, I had 2 budgets during my time. Sinagot naman ni Sani yung mga kung saan pumunta yung pera, nadagdagan yung edukasyon, nadagdagan yung military. Diba? Klarong-klaro. Ito, puro DPWH lang nadagdagan eh. Diba? So, diba? Nabusog yung DP.
Dondi, meron ka pa?
So, yun lang. Kaya, that was just one of them. So, the handling of the impeachment is one. Of course, the budget's another. And the lack of transparency. For example, the Senate building. What is going to happen with the Senate building? Findings came out na wala naman. On track naman daw. We're spending a lot. 4 kasi na tower yan eh. Diba? So, ano na yung pangyayari dyan? Di namin alam. Matutuloy ba yan? Will it become a white elephant? We're not told what's going to happen to that.
Hindi ka na-update.
No, there's no update whatsoever. You don't know what's going on. Among their side, yung kumakausap lang sa akin doon, and I'll be honest about it, and I thank him for it, is Senator Alan Peter Cayetano. Senator Cayetano is the only one lumalapit sa amin. Kinakausap kami, yung ano bang mga problema na pwedeng maayos. Kasi accounts chair siya, di ba? So, I have to thank Senator Cayetano. At least he reaches out to us. Me, Senator Lauren, and Nancy, who's now mayor of Makati. So, yes, I see that the leadership is lacking. We need some sort of, if not, then we're ready to be in the minority.
Okay, may Ann Camille and then from Rappler.
Sir, does it sadden you na kung sino pa yung mga veterano, experienced gaya ninyo, kayo pa yung hindi mag-lead sa 20th Congress? Kumbaga, pwede nga minority talaga kayo.
Yeah, actually, it saddens me because, alam mo, yung chairmanship kasi na yun, parang binibigay sa mga not so qualified members of the Senate sa aking pananaw. At tapos yung mga super qualified, katulad ni Senator Lauren Legarda, ay binigay sa kanya culture and arts na lang, na napakasipag naman ng tao. Sabi ko nga sa kanya, baka sa next Congress, hahatiin na yan. Baka ikaw na si culture, ako na si arts. Committee on Arts, siya culture. Dahil nga, hampas lupa na kami. Dead hungry, ano yan. Patay gutom na kami. So, paglaban na lang namin yung integridad ng Senado.
So wala pang pag-uusap sa committee chairman?
Wala. Kami, whatever.
Kayo, sir, what did
What?
you ano po kinuha?
Nothing. I've never, nobody's talking to us anyways. So, nobody's talking to us anyway. So, wala problema. Yung masama doon, pati yung mga kasamaan ko na parang gusto ko na ilabas sa sama ng loob ko. Pero sige lang. Tayo lang naman, no? Tayo lang naman.
So, sir,
Tayo lang naman.
so, sir,
Online ba? Okay.
So, sir,
Hello, online.
sir, yung bang seatmates, buhay pa o disbanded na?
Wala na. Medyo masama nga loob namin kasi at least sana naman kinausap din kami. Alam naman nila si Tito Sen yung unang namin. I've been telling them, okay ba kayo kay Tito Sen? Tahimik lang sila, quiet lang sila. Tapos mamaya-maya may mga na pala sila. May mga decision na hindi naman kami sinama. Baka gusto nyo, sama-sama tayo na ito yung committees nyo, ganyan. Wala, hindi kami kinakausap. So it's okay. Kaya nga patay gutom na kami.
Kaya ba paulit-ulit ka kanina na sinasabi mo, i-emphasize mo yung loyal majority?
I don't know. I was just loyal to my You know, I'll tell you what. During the formally, kaya nga, my demise was because I respected the committee system. I respected the committee chair. My demise was I respected my committee chairs even under the insistence of some of my colleagues and some people in power to stop certain hearings. Kasi nakita ko yan sa formally. Nung panahon ni Tatay Digong, ni President Digong Duterte, they were trying to stop the formally hearings. 1 year yun kay Tito Dick Gordon, di ba? 1 year yun. And it came to a point that there was almost a coup attempt against Tito Sotto at that time. I was approached, I will no longer mention who approached me, and asked if I was interested to take over his position. I said no. That's for the record. I said no. At dahil I said no, nanatili din yung grupo namin sa seatmates block, wala silang magagawa. Di ba? So, tuloy-tuloy yung hearing noon.
So wala na seatmate, sir, ngayon? Wala na?
Hindi pa buwag ba?
Buwag na.
Well, hindi ko sabihin buwag, pero syempre,
Nag-iisa ka na lang ba sa seat?
kami ni Loren,
Sila ni Lord.
kami ni Loren.
Sir, isa na lang. Sir,
Meron kaming grupo, sa grupo sa aking aking Viber, may Viber group ako, Slap Soil Seatmates.
Ampas lupas.
Slap Soil Seatmates, ako, Senator Nancy, Senator Loren, sinama namin si Sec Angara. Kasi nabawasan yung budget niya ng education eh.
So hindi na kasama
di ba?
sila. Anyway,
yung wala sa slap soil.
hindi na.
Meron din kaming grupo na original seatmates. Yan.
Pero wala na.
Siyempre, may mga joke pa rin kami dyan. Yung mga
Akala ko tahimik na eh.
joke time.
Kailan yung huli?
Sino ulit nag-joke, sir?
Sa seatmates. Matagal ng panahon.
Medyo matagal-tagal na yata yung mga.
Sir, isa na lang. Sir, so tama po ba? Suko na yung grupo ninyo? Mukhang wala.
Hindi naman suko na kasi, I don't know. That's okay. It's okay with me. I treat them with respect. That's par for the course. We're in politics. Of course, in politics, there's no permanent friends,
No permanent.
no
enemy.
permanent enemies, only permanent interests. So,
Pero yun nga, sir, since meron na nga si SP Cheese ng majority, mukhang malabo na si SP Sotto for now.
for now, yes. But you know, we're open to another third force. Baka may dark horse dyan na gustong tumayo. Why not? We talked about it sa grupo namin. If there's a dark horse that will come out, that's not necessarily us four. We're willing to support. Basta ang pangako lang niya ay transparency at integridad ng Senado. Yan ang mahalaga. Ang integridad ng Senado at isunod ang mga rules, mga batas, mga tinatawag natin traditions ng Senado.
But as for SP Sotto, medyo malabo na for the opening of 20th Congress.
Well, as all the pronouncements of my friends from the other side is that they have the numbers, so be it.
But anything can happen.
anything can happen. Remember that mid-year 2026, 2027, anything can just happen. So, what is important is like-minded senators will get together and decide one day that if they're satisfied with the leadership or not. Our bloc is ready to support.
Okay, Camille.
Senator, yung impeachment po talaga is very divisive. Alam po natin yan sa buong bansa actually. Is support or opposition to BP Duterte's impeachment becoming a proxy battle in the race for Senate presidency?
Ano po yun?
Kasi yung race po, ito po bang impeachment kay BP Duterte?
Oh, yeah, malaking
ito po ba
bagay
ang
yun.
proxy battle para
She's still the number one. She's still the number one in all the surveys that I've seen in the last 3 weeks. She's still the number one leading candidate. The last one nakita ko 35% siya. At nandun si Bongo at 14%. So kung tanggalin mo yung Bongo at tanggalin mo yung Bongo factor dun, that's about 49%. So, siyempre hindi naman yung boboto kay Bongo, boboto kay Sara din yun. So kung tanggalin mo yung numero ni Bongo, siya pa rin ang majority candidate o magiging number one candidate. So, yeah, some people, that's what they look at. they're looking at it as a race to remove her from office, and once impeached, she will be banned from running for public office. So, of course, that's one way of looking at it. But then again, let's see. Mahirap magsalita. I'm a senator judge now. So, as a senator judge, I don't want to put out any cards at the moment, and we'll see what happens when we go along.
Yung labanan po ba na to, Senator, is about yung mga gustong magtuloy ng impeachment at saka yung gusto na, yung ayaw magtuloy? Will it be
Feeling ko,
a big issue?
Feeling ko, pag umpisa natin itong July 28, the preceding day, or the next day rather, July 29, there probably will be debates on the impeachment process. I think fundamental question is, itutuloy ba? Bakit tatanong ng presiding officer or tatanong ng Senate President yan? I leave it to the body, itutuloy ba? So yan ang botohan, kung itutuloy ba o hindi. I think ganun ang mangyayari dyan. So, we'll see, no, kung sinong mananaig, sinong mananalo.
Okay.
Sir, do you think yung Senate presidency was decided along the lines of impeachment?
My silence is deafening. I don't confirm nor deny.
Last
Pero
one.
syempre, ano yun, par for the course yun. Diba?
Last two
Alam mo, sa
questions.
politics lang
Okay,
Ate
sir.
Sally, scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Yeah.
Ganun lang naman yan, di ba? So, ano yan?
Teka, last two questions from Danielle and then from Rappler and then, kay Raymond pa. Okay.
Okay. Senator, so far, base dun sa nakukuha namin, the Senate leadership is a done deal as of now, right? But the opening of the 20th
Anything
Congress...
can still happen, guys, ha?
Yeah.
Anything can still happen.
It's still 3
I mean,
weeks
there's
away.
2 weeks to go. Maybe one of the blocks there will see us. So, we're not saying it's a done deal.
Yeah.
Although, signature-wise, I think it is. Marami nang pumirma nun.
Sa
Pero
resolution.
sa
May
resolution, I think may over 13 na sila. But anything can still happen between now till 2028. So, I mean, July 28. July 28.
Top center mo, no?
Inom muna ako ng kape. Kakape muna ako. Ay,
Graduation.
hindi ko gumagalaw yung Ha? Wala na ako. Retired na ako nun. Hindi, no?
Okay, tapos ka na, Rappler?
Meron pa. Sorry, sir, so...
So it's
what-
still possible.
Yeah,
I think it's still happen, yes.
So what do you think will turn the tide for Chief Escudero or Sotto? Ano ba yung possible pa na maganap in the lead up to the opening of the 20th Congress that could possibly change the decision for now?
Well, I can't say. I mean, they all have to examine their conscience on who they want to support. Diba? Ganun lang naman yan. It's an individual decision. Although it's by blocks. We all know there's a 7-man block, the Duterte block. The Duterte block can join us. There will already 12. All we need is one. That's 13. Diba? They can join Cheese, then they have the number. So, there's also the other block. There's the Cayetano block. So, maraming bloke din eh. So,
Nililigawan niyo yung Duterte Black?
dalawa pero kasama din, may mga kasama din sila. Well, for example, there's also the Tulfo block, dalawa. Cayetano block, dalawa.
Pero pumirma na daw.
Hindi, yung Estrada block.
Villar Black. Estrada Black.
Well, I guess yung seatmates na naiwan doon, 3 sila. Diba? So, I mean, for example, if the seatmates all of a sudden decide to come back to us, then that's 4 plus 3, 7. Plus, let's say we get the Cayetano block, that's 7, 8, 9. So we just have to get 3 more. I mean,
Duterte
things
block.
can still happen. Things can still happen. We're not surrendering at this point in time. Basta importante na dito sa grupo namin, gusto sana namin protektahan ang integridad ng Senado. Maawa na kayo, bugbog ng Senado. Bugbog sa matang tao, bugbog ng Senado. So,
Sir, never say die kayo.
never say die. Iron Eagle.
Okay. Danielle, then Raymond, and then Myla.
Kanta yan eh.
Sir, good afternoon. Sir, paano kung kayo yung lumaban do sa Senate presidency? May chance ba na makuha nyo yung Duterte block, and since sa Mindanao naman po kayo?
I don't want to talk about numbers at this point in time, partner. Mahirap ng pag-usapan yan kasi magsalita ako, mahirap na.
Sir, yung sa impeachment lang, sinabi nyo rin kanina na parang tutol kayo na tumawid. Dapat end na sa 19th Congress. So, ibig sabihin, pag nag-start yung 20th Congress at italakayin yung impeachment, hindi nyo na mabaharangin.
Hindi na. Well, pag din-decision yung grupo na ituloy ang diskusyon, we have to continue with the process. We have to continue with the process.
Okay.
Huwag tayo matakot bumoto. Diba? Bumoto tayo. Many of them have made up their minds anyway. So let's proceed with the process. You want to shorten it? Okay. But then let's vote. Let's decide.
Sir, si Mayra,
Somebody.
yung kung nakita yung resolution,
Okay.
okay lang. Okay, Raymond.
Doon lang sa parang yung considering yung emotion ninyo regarding the Senate leadership. Diba, in one or two words, how would you describe the current Senate leadership? It's like you were saying before your time na consensus leader kayo. What about today?
Today, are you asking me if I'm still a consensus builder? Of course, I'm a...
How do you describe the current Senate leadership?
Ayun nga, medyo may... Sa aking pananaw, kasi sa kanila, okay sila dun sa style na yun. Pero sa aking pananaw, ay kulang yung aming consultations. Nalala nyo yung sa People's Initiative. Kung hinayaan ko na lang magdiskusyon kami sa plenaryo, wala kami consensus. Hindi nyo nakita yung front page natin na litrato, hawak-hawak namin yung 24 signatures on the resolution expressly going against that fake People's Initiative, di ba? I had to get that through consensus, through consultation. So that's my style. And when we discussed many measures, when we discussed Create More, when we discussed all the very important bills, pati Maharlika, we had to have consensus building and consultation. May debate pa rin sa floor. Hindi naman mawawala yung debate sa floor. Pero at least, ang kagandahan yan, alam nila yung issue. Di ba? Minsan, nasa floor na kami, nagtitingin na kami ni Nancy Binay, sasabihin niya, ano bang direksyon ng Senado dito? Hindi ko alam. Siyempre, mayroon tayong decision dito sa iba't ibang or opinions dito sa iba't ibang mga issues. Pero yan ang gusto sana namin maiba. And of course, we don't like yung divide and conquer, kakausapin isa-isa, tapos, pangakuan na mga kung ano-ano. Ayaw namin ng leader na ganyan. Wala akong binabanggit na gano'n. Sinabi ko, ayaw ko lang ng leader na ganyan. That's why I want to correct the misconception. When I said I do not like the dictatorial types, I wasn't referring to the current leadership of the Senate. I was just saying I don't like dictatorship-style leadership for the Senate, wherein isa lang tao ang magdidesisyon at bahala na kayo sa buhay ninyo. Kung gusto nyo, debatihan nyo ako sa plenaryo. Remember, as I mentioned, the Supreme Court, kanina, sabi ko, lahat ng abogado gusto maging member ng Supreme Court. Okay. Lahat ng member ng Supreme Court, ang leader niyan, you call primus inter pares. Correct, attorney? Primus inter pares only means that you are first among equals. Ibig sabihin, you are equal. The same as everybody. You're only tasked to be the presiding officer of this Senate. You should not have control of whatever funds and say who should be given to or who should be taken from. If that is the allowance of any senator, lahat ng senator dapat patas. Diba? Kung sa taon, huwag mong bigyan sa style ko, patas lahat. Ilan ba yung madadagdagan na staffing ng ating mga senador? If they need 5 for all, including the minority. Remember? We did that. Hindi yung dahil, slap soil yan. Wala yan. Kayo, 10. Kaya, yan ang ayaw natin dito mangyari sa leadership ng Senado. Di ba? Yan ang hindi nangyari noon at hindi dapat mangyari sa atin sa Senado ngayon. That's why I miss the leadership, for example, Senate President Drilon, Senate President Sotto, Senate President Juan Ponce Enrile, even Senate President Nene Pimentel, who I had the pleasure of being my minority floor leader when I was majority floor leader in 2007. They would probably now, they would be cringing on the fact of what's happening to the Senate. I'm sorry, with due respect, and some members will disagree with me, and they would probably hit me and say I'm speaking on my own. It's my opinion. They are entitled to their opinion. I'm entitled to my opinion, and that is my opinion. Yung nakikita nating taong bayan, kayo na lang. Kausapin niyo yung mga kapitbahay ninyo. Ano ba ang nakikita nila sa Senado na yun? And I'm sure you will have the same opinion.
Ngayon, ikaw, bilang Pilipino, ano ang masasabi mo at reaksyon sa balitang ito? Mag-iwan ka ng komento sa ibaba at atin pong babasahin isa-isa.